Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, formerly 5B. So I'm on the line and my last frost date is somewhere around April 28th. I usually plant out around middle of May because that's when at least the temperatures are pretty steadily in the 50s, and so the tomato plants and the pepper plants are doing okay. But we've already done tomato plants and we've already done pepper plants. I will show you those a little bit later. But this week we are starting our herbs. I have a small little container of herbs here. It's mostly basil. That is a large part of what I usually like to do. I think I've got like 6 different types of basil, but I do also have things like cumin and dill. I need to get some thyme started. This year will be my first year for things like stevia and lemon balm, but I'm gonna do all of those today. I have my 2.5-inch pots for almost everything except for the cilantro. The cilantro, I have a 4-pack because the cilantro isn't gonna go on the heat mat. So I was trying to keep all the cilantro together so that I can add it in with what I hope to someday will be the rest of the Gerber daisies underneath a dome and a light, but not on the heat mat. All of these will pretty much be surface sown with vermiculite on top, except for the cilantro. The cilantro I will probably press down into the soil and then cover with vermiculite, and then of course water in, get the dome on, get on the heat mat or get underneath the light, depending on what the need is. Like I said, the cilantro is probably going to be the only one that doesn't go on the heat mat. Everything else will go on the heat mat if it's in a 2.5-inch pot. I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of chatting in this video because I have very limited time before my work day starts and I need to get this done. So let's do it. And that is the herbs seeded. I'm gonna give you a quick update on the seedlings and then where everything is at in the raised bed build thing. But it's hard to imagine that I am almost done with my indoor plantings. That's just a weird thought. So like I said, this is probably going to be quick. This is where the onions are at. It is still below freezing outside right now. So everything's still indoors. This is the first row of peppers and the teeny tiny baby eggplants. And then this final shelf, we have the onions and the biannual flowers, which I did put out the other day, but unfortunately, may have left them out a little too long. So you can see a little bit of sunburn there. Over on this side, we'll start at the bottom. You can see that the loofah that I up-potted are doing pretty well. I have the agastache and the one tiny possible Gerber daisy hanging out by itself. And then we have the tomatoes. Most of them have sprouted at this point. There's probably about 3 I'm still waiting on. But this is the tray of tomatoes. Up here is the tray of peppers with a couple of tomatoes thrown in since there was space for them, because right now my light space is at a premium. It really is. So I am now in another room of my house where I have a couple additional lights. You can see here, this is where I have the kiwi and the rest of the Gerber daisies that I'm trying to germinate. I added the cilantro in with these guys since they don't need the heat mat. And then if we go this direction, I've got one empty light at this point. This is the last light that has nothing under it. And then right here, which I was hoping to get out today or sometime this week, is the lettuce and the bok choy. We have snow and some pretty deep freezes in our forecast for this weekend. So this is probably going to have to wait until, I don't know, after Easter possibly, which, yeah. The screens are just up to make sure that the animals don't get interested in the plants. So that's why you see this screen here right now. Oh, and before I forget, we actually have 2 sprouts on the sweet potato. Ah. That is where all of the indoor starts are at. Like I said, I am running out of light space. I only have 9 of my shelf lights, and I've got 1 spotlight, and I showed you I've only got 1 light left. I had expected at this point to be able to get that lettuce and that bok choy out, and then shortly after April starts, getting the onions out. But here's the thing. The raised beds, I don't know if you've been following my updates on the shorts. I am still waiting on the supplies for the actual bed build. I just have holes with some stabilization. It's all I've got. Nobody's been working this week because we don't have the materials. I'm hoping things come in next week, but here's the next kicker. I mentioned snow and freezing is in the forecast for this weekend and early next week. So I don't even know if even if we get the stuff in, if they'll be able to actually do the build. And then I have to fill them. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to put my onions anywhere until at least mid-April, possibly the end of April, depending on how things go. Maybe it'll be warm enough that I can actually leave them outside. They are hardened off to a point where I'd feel comfortable doing that. And that would free up a couple of lights. But that's if the weather cooperates. I really need to start thinking about splitting up my peppers because they are getting to the point where they need to be separated out. But I can't do that until I get my onions and my lettuce and my bok choy outside because I don't have the space. We're in that part of the season where it's chaos. It's chaos and I kind of like it. I'm not mad about it. But if you want to continue and follow me on this crazy journey of seed starting and then hopefully planting out in the raised beds, subscribe down below. I do have an Instagram and Threads account. I tend to update that a little earlier than I do YouTube, so you can follow me over there as well. But if you don't, no judgment, totally understand. With that being said, I have to go to work now. But I do hope I will see you guys in another video, and I heart you beautiful faces. Bye.